you at the whiteboard, and Jill and Charles, there is like beautiful questions that you ask now, and I collected like art paintings to open a bit the plot of your question. And I posted the question on the whiteboard. Do you see them, or shall I read the questions here? Two questions you ask, very, very interesting. And I brought text that we shall follow and answer those questions. So would you like to read the first question, Fernando? Just for the beginning that we could start?
Yes, I can. It's about, let me open here. It's about Genesis 25, verse 11, that relates the story when Abraham had passed away, and God blessed Isaac, his son, and Isaac dwelt by Beer Yahai. So two questions came from this verse. The first one is that we usually talk about the Jacob giving blessing to the 12 tribes. He blesses each one of the tribes, and also Isaac blessing Jacob.
Yes.
In that episode. But why Abraham did not bless Isaac? Why was God himself who did it?
Thank you so much for your question. And your question, we can see like expressed in the paintings here on the right, we see that Isaac is blessing Jacob, and in the background behind Isaac, we can see Rebecca. And in this painting by Rembrandt, we see Jacob blesses Joseph's children in Egypt, Ephraim and Manasseh. But we read, of course, in Genesis 49 that Jacob also blesses the 12 children. So your question is very vast. You say we read that Isaac gives blessings to the sons, and then later Jacob gives blessing to the 12 sons and the to the next two grandsons. But where is the blessing of Abraham? Yes? Something here is lacking in the chain of generation. Why Abraham does not give a blessing to Isaac? Why Isaac is the first to start with a blessing when we read that everything like starts from Abraham. Behei Beraam, Behi Beraam. With the hey, with a little hand we start, and why suddenly the blessings start only with Isaac? Yes? This is the
Exactly.
question.
Exactly this. Yes.
So to answer this question and also to bring the listeners and on YouTube to focus on your question, let's read a bit Genesis 21, few verses, 12 verses. Yes. What is happening with the birth of Isaac? And then we shall go into to the letters themselves, because the letters of the name in a way are answering the question. It's very good. And who would like to read Genesis 21? We have here 12 verses. Who's volunteering
I,
this morning?
I can read. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Genesis 21. And the Lord remembered Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. And Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bore to him, Isaac. And Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him. And Sarah said, God hath made laughter for me. Every one that heareth will laugh on account of me. And she said, Who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should give children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne unto Abraham, making sport. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight on account of his son. And God said unto Abraham, Let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondwoman. And all that Sarah saith unto thee, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall seed be called to thee.
Thank you so much, dear Jill, for your reading. And here is the point. Here is the answer. Ki veitzchak yikare lecha zara. In Isaac you shall have a seed, and we shall see here. 1 second, I'll move to the red color because God already informing Abraham, Ki beitzchak yikara lecha zara, Yitzchak. The Bible and the Zohar says something interesting. The name of Isaac is written with the letter Yod, Yitzchak. And Yod here, or the value of Yod is 10. The letter Yod is masculine. And the blessing always starts with the masculine. The letter Yod, which has a value of 10, is a masculine. This is why Isaac is the first to bless. He blesses Jacob and Esau, and later Jacob blesses the children and the grandchildren. Also, Jacob, please pay attention, Yaakov, Yod, yes, completion of 10, and his blessing, even in the name Israel, the new name that he has, again, we see the completion of 10. So the Zohar says that Isaac starts the blessing because he has a full portion. He has the letter Yod, the letter Yod. But we can ask why Abraham not. Abraham starts with 4 letters, Avram, Hi Father, Avram. Later on, in age 99, he has another letter Hey, which is, added to him. But the value of the letter Hey is 5, plus Hey, it's a what? Masculine or feminine letter?
The letter He is feminine.
Is feminine. So the power of blessing comes from the masculine. The power of blessing is here. This is כי ויצחק יקרא לך זרע, meaning even Abraham is not a seed, only Isaac. Because you remember, Abraham is what? He is a womb. But the seed comes from his son Isaac.
Amazing.
He is a feminine in a way. Do we understand that?
Yes,
It's all about relationship. In relation to what? So in relation to Isaac, this is opposite because usually we learn in the scheme of the spheres that Abraham is a flow, is a grace, is the right side. Yes, usually. But when we come to those delicate questions, everything moves. The Bible is like a mobile. You know, when babies, they have a mobile above their bed, you know, the babies, they have like mobiles. Here they have a star. Let's say it's a star. It's not a beautiful one, but let's make a moon. It's easier. Yeah. And here's let's say this is the sun. And when we move something here, everything moves also here. So it depends where our question comes. And when the question comes, suddenly all the relations are changing. It's never fixed. So in relation to your question, this is the picture that comes as an answer. Do we understand that? Yes?
Yes, amazing. Yes.
Now, let's answer the second question. This is also very interesting. Let's move and read the second question. Oops, here. Do you see the question? Question number 2? The second question?
Yes. The second question is about the fact that Isaac dwelled by the well, Lahoi Roi. In the book of Zohar, this place is written with an additional vav. In fact, the word Roi has a
Yes.
vav in the book of Zohar.
Yes.
I don't believe that they had missed this one. Could you please open the meaning of this name?
Yes. Lechai Roi is the name of the well. Usually in the Bible writes it like naturally 6 letters, Lechai Roi. This is the name of the well, while the book of Zohar adds additional vav here. And the book of Zohar says something very interesting. The vav in Roi is in a way, how do you say, direct at Zer Anpin. Zer Anpin, or Tiferet, when he influenced the goodness to Malchut or to the Nukba. Here. So whenever we see the letter Vav, there is a relation between Tiferet and Malchut or Zer Anpin and Nukba. Do we understand that? Or shall I draw here a little drawing? Here. Maybe I'll move to the side. I could make it a bit longer, like the letter Vav. Here. Here is a Tiferet. Whenever we see the Vav, so this is it, the Vav, and this is the Malchut. Here, the He. So why does the Zohar write Lechai Roi? Because he see how Lechai Roi, this well, waters the whole heavenly kingdom. Do we understand?
Yes.
It's good that you
beautiful.
asked. I saw this. I can bring it later on to slide the quotation from the Torah.
And in these words, Lehai, we can take life, right? High.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
Roi, we can take to see.
To see, to see. Everybody that sees the well becomes alive. Yes, yes.
Is the ever flowing water, maybe the water
Ever
is
flowing,
above.
ever flowing life and water. Yeah.
And with this vav, we can make the word or as
Yes.
well.
Or
Ori, maybe
Ori, my
my
light,
light.
my light,
Yes.
and even air, avir, avir, air. What we miss in the Corona time. So much air. Very good questions.
So we could say that Isaac, was living in Zerarpin. He was living in supernal realm. He was not in captivity. He was already in another dimension or something like this.
It is very interesting what you say. It is very, very interesting because if we take the bare letters of Lechai Roi, it is 259 without a Vav. Without a Vav. We can look at it again and calculate it, but I did this before the class. So 259 plus 1, it is 260. What is 260?
10 times tetragrammaton.
10 times. Yes. And the answer is yes. Even if we take 259 plus 6, we are coming at 265. Is that right?
Yes.
265. So it is 5 times 26. What is 5 times 26? 130.
10 times love or Sinai.
You see? Positive answer from both directions. He also is very interesting because he was the one to notice that Joseph is not dead. He knew when Judah came with a dressing with a Joseph coats of many colors, deep in the blood of the animal, and Jacob was mourning that he lost his son. Isaac knew that Joseph is alive. He knew. He was not deceived by his eyes or by the rumor why he had such a supernal access, because of the binding. After the binding, after he was binded, the moment that his father lifted the knife to take his life, he already saw the supernal, and his eyes remained focused there. So when his father removed the knife and he saw the ram or the owl, Isaac a glance of life remained from there. So Isaac could see something else since the binding. This is why he was not influenced from what is happening. And he was not influenced by the rumor about Joseph, nor by the theater play that Judah was handling in front of the father to show him that this is a bad animal ate the child.
This is why he was in Lahai.
Lechai ro'i.
Lehai Roi. He sees the light, the life. He Roi, to see. Lehai, the life.
Yes, he sees the life which are coming, not what we see as here arriving, but the life which are coming. Yes, from the infinite. Yes. And also, it's a good question because you ask why doesn't Abraham blesses his son? Abraham lived 175 years. This is the life Abraham. But Isaac lived 180. Do you see the difference? So in a way, Abraham died younger than Isaac. So how could he bless him? Do you understand?
It's amazing.
Good morning, Felipe. Questions or impressions?
Just just want to thank you because it was really, really amazing. Thank you for the questions, Fernando. And I was just thinking that when you were saying that sometimes we have to see in a relative manner
what is feminine passes to masculine and so on. And it's interesting because in this point of view, you were mentioning it, Abraham as passive or feminine, and Isaak as an active. And in the, as Weinreb's comment in his book, Isaac is the passive. In a way, Abraham is the first day, and Isaac is the second, and Jacob is the third, returning to the masculine. So it's interesting because when Abraham is active, Isaac is passive, and when Isaac is active, Abraham is passive.
Excellent.
I don't know if I made myself clear, but I was thinking about it, and it's impressive, all of it. It's impressive.
Also, Isaac has the power, I would not say power, but the potential of the eighth day. He's the first to be circumcised in the eighth day. Abraham was circumcised when he was 99 years old. I mean, he started a revolution. It was a revolution, but Isaac is the first baby to start. This is why God says, within Isaac you shall have your seed, because the startup is from Isaac. And we have, in a way, 4 names that starts with the letter Yod. We see Yitzhak, Isaac. This is starting with the letter Yod here, 10. And then we see Yaakov, Jacob, yes, with a 10. And later on, his name is changed into Israel, Israel. Again, it is with 10. And Joseph, Yosef, with Yod, and then in 10. So how many 10s do we have here? How many 10s?
4 10s.
4 10s. So 10 in the power of, 1 second, in the power of 4. This is 10,000. Like Ezekiel says, 10,000 in Hebrew has a word, revava. Revava. Revava כצמח השדה נתתיך. This is what Ezekiel says to the soul. You are like the seed or the yield of the field, the expansion of the soul, 10,000. Yes. And this is also when we count crown, keter is 10,000. Chokhmah, wisdom, we count in 1,000. Aleph, Elef, Aleph, Elef. And Binah, understanding, Binah, we count in what? In 100. Yes, Yod, Bechokmah, Hey, Bebinah, 100. The Vav in decades, and the Hey we count in units. This is how we count. There is a question from Charles Taylor. Could you explain what the tree of life is and means? Oh, this is a very large question. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Charles. But just listen at the beginning. Just listen. Do we understand this kind of thinking? Because the scheme of spheres is not just the names of the spheres, it's also a way to count in the realm of units, decades, hundreds, thousands, and 10,000s. Questions? Joseph Weissman, I love coming to this divine school of Hebrew. Thank you, Joseph.
It's beautiful, Eti, this idea of, like Felipe just said, this idea that the passive and active change positions, because while we is descending the tree of life, the passive that was Isaac becomes active, and the passive Jacob in relation with Isaac becomes active in relation with Joseph and the others. And Joseph is the last one who gives the Zera to the people of Mitzrayim as well. He gives the seed to everybody,
Yes.
And when we relate this with the tree of life, we understand what the sages say about this dynamic, with what Ari, Hakadosh, or Isaac Luria and others say about these dynamics of the tree of life, and also about what we have, how we have to act in properly, when we have to receive the seed of light and when we have to give the seed of life to others.
That's true.
It's very beautiful because it's a dynamic. We need to learn how to receive and how to give. It's not something easy to understand,
This is true. This is also it's good that you ask about, so to speak, about the passivity of Abraham, because his father, Terach, has the value of 608. Abraham, God tells Abraham to leave his father. Now I write it with a hey, and I will explain. God says to him, leave your father and your homeland and go to the place that I'll show you. So what happens when we subtract the value of Abraham from the value of Terach? What do we get? 360. After the hay was added to him. So Abraham becomes what? If in relation to his father, when we withdraw the son, now Abraham is in relation of the son to his father. This is the father, and this is the son. When we do like this, father 608 minus son, which is 248, we have 360. 360 is usually completion. Completion is basically grace. Grace is usually associated with a feminine part. Do we, again, everything is in relation. We build the thinking step by step. Do we understand this kind of thinking? Can we follow or not?
Yes.
So you ask how, because by asking about Isaac, we showed the relation how suddenly Isaac becomes active by giving blessings, and Abraham becomes feminine or a secondary to Isaac. And we already see this in the course when we pull the name Abraham from his father Terach. We already see the grace. It's like a womb. Whether we see this here or here. And later we shall see this in the blessing, because he doesn't bless. God tells him, Veheye bracha, Veheye, God tells Abraham, Veheye bracha. You shall be blessing to Abraham when the speech to Abraham to leave his father. God says to him, and you shall be blessing. Blessing with a hey, but not the one who blesses. I can bring the verse how God already tells him in the first speech, Veheye bracha, and you shall be a blessing, but not a blesser, the one who gives. I will bring it, and you could see the letters. A second. Genesis 12:2. Genesis, I'll bring it. 1 second. Because the Bible is very systematic. If something is coming, you can follow the whole course until we reach this point, and it's very systematic. Here. Genesis 12, verse 2. Here. Here. I'll make it a bit smaller that it will come to the screen. Everything appears here, or even more. Yeah. Everything appears or not yet. A second. Let's make it. Second, zoom out. See that it is cutting here, but can you read, please, Fernando or Charles or Felipe, the last two words in Hebrew?
Veheye bracha.
Thank you so much, Charles. Veheye bracha. And you shall be what? What is bracha in Hebrew?
Blessing.
Yeah, good. And you shall be blessing. The letter Hey here. You shall be blessing. God does not say you shall be a blessing. Sir, Vav, Hey, Yod, the masculine that starts, we start with Vav. He opposite already in the first speech to Abraham, in portion Lech Lecha, he opposite. I turn a man into a vessel that he will become a blessing, that through his blessing will come a new seed to the world. He turns a man into a vessel. Do we understand?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Amazing it. Yes.
I think if people would read the Bible in this way, there will be less gender confusion in the world.
Yes, I think so. Because it's not about gender.
Yes, yes.
It's about active and passive, and everything is good. active and passive are good, and they are dynamic, right? So
Yes, this is it. It's like this mobile, always everything is moving like notes in music. Everything is moving. There's no bad. Questions?
I think it's only bad when you try to be so stuck with your concepts, and you are not able to see these dynamics of life, and then you suffer because it
Yeah.
is it makes what I think Fernando could explain better, like a neurosis, because you are divided. You do not understand anymore because you can't change perspectives, and it's amazing to learn this high concept and to see that all the confusion we pass, we are living in our uh, earthly lives are just misunderstanding of higher perspectives of life. So I I never uh, can thank you as much as I would like to.
Thank you for listening. It's a great blessing, listening.
Thank you.
yes, I feel the same. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful what you just said about Abraham, because looking again at Genesis 25, verse 11, we can see that the composition of the phrase is different, the blessing is different, because it's not Vehaya,
Yes.
right? It starts also with the four letters, not four letters, but it's with double yod, that is
Yes.
positive,
Yes.
Vaihi,
Yes.
and the bless to Itzhak doesn't have the last letter Hey. Vai pare.
Yes.
The beracha doesn't have the Hey, but
Yes.
has the yod. So I know that it's very parallel thinking, but in the structure of the phrase we can uh, find some clues about this, the
Yes.
difference between the blessing between the Abraham and Isaac.
Yes. Yes. You see, like you say that here one
Yes,
yod
and
and
one
here
vav. We
one
have
vav.
only the masculine.
Yes. Here, very good. Very good. And here we have three muscular yod, two yods and one vav. So two yods and one vav, we can make aleph and hey. It's very interesting. It's still a vav. It's still a vav, masculine. What is interesting that in terms of plan, divine plan, we can see how already in the speech to Abraham to leave his father. 1 second, I have to move the perspective here. We can see already by telling Abraham to leave his father, how in the plan Isaac is born, because we say Terach. Second, I have to bring a pen. Second. Terach, the father of Abraham, as a value of 608, and his grandson. I'll put Abraham here for a moment in brackets because he is just a bridge. He is just a bridge. And Isaac, Yitzhak, has the value of 208. Now, what is 608? The grandfather minus the grandson, the value. 608 minus 208, what do we get?
400.
400. And what does God tells Abraham in the night of the covenant between the parts? In Genesis 15, you remember that Abraham has a vision and there's night. Your seed shall be what? You remember the speech? I'll bring the verse. This is Genesis 15. Yes, a second. Yes, I'll bring the chapter and everybody could read it as well. The 400, 1 second. I'll find the word 400. I have to look. Yes. Covenant between the parts. I'll bring the verse. 1 second. This is. He already informs Abraham with the mathematics that we can see already in Parashat Lech Lecha, few chapters before the mathematics works. And then, do you see the verse? Or I just missed it? 1 second, I'll bring it again. Here. I show you the mathematics in Genesis 12, already the 400. And now we can see, okay, who would like to read it? The English here?
I can read.
This is, yeah, thank you. This is Genesis 15, yes. Please read.
Okay. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them for 400 years.
Thank you so much. You see here already by the names, you see the number here, 400 years, is not accidental. This is no accident. Look at the design of the names. Questions or references? It's easy to look at the Bible and to see the relations between the names and the years and the promises and geometrical forms like Pythagoras triangle, or the relation between a cycle and a square, or the relation between conditional and unconditional. But the question is, can we see this in our lives? Because now we look at a masterpiece and we abstract the letters into numbers and to geometrical forms and to absolute laws. But the question is, can we see the same structure in our lives?
We need to.
Because the course of our life to each and every one of us is different, and sometimes we go through different bridges and we ask, but why is it like that, and why is it like this? And we sometimes have disagreement, but what we lack is the long-term plan. Now we see here generations. that lived 100 years, more than 100 years. And we see the course of the divine plan is going through generations, through hundreds of years. And we are short tempered and we want to see results after 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, which is a bit sometimes funny. But also, I understand also this perspective because the number three is like represent the spirits or the light also. But this is different perspective. This is, yes.
No, just to say that uh, for me it's interesting how, not that I can, make things right and so on, but many things are presenting themselves as this kind of perspective we discuss here. For instance, uh, when I was reading about the eighth day, and that everything should be, how can I say, to come to an end to all the troubles uh, when they reach the eighth day, they are resolved. And when we are in the cycles of seven, or in the time and so on, we cannot grasp this accommodation of things that will will come. This, in a word, is the word to come. Is the word holam holam haba. Is that correct?
Mhm. Yes, yes,
We
yes.
and but in the past months, I passed through some situations that, and I'm still in those situations, and I have this kind of certainty that it is for this it will be, uh, you know some years from now, I guess I will be able to see how this was meant to be.
Mhm.
And this is just one example about this number eight, and it keeps coming into my mind when I'm in trouble, you know.
The word coming that you used in Hebrew, haba, the word coming has the value of 8. Haba, olam haba, the world which is coming.
Thank you
You're
once again.
welcome. You used it, you see? Thank you so much for coming, for asking, for reviewing, reading, commenting.
I thank you, Eti, for bringing and elucidating these questions. I'm very happy to listen everything that you just said. I took notes, and it's so good to hear you and hear you, friends. So thank you so much.
Thank you all, friends. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we could meet here on Monday at the same time. We shall have a weekend now. We could process all the new things that we learn. We could discuss them on Slack or with friends if you wish. And we can come fresh on Monday.
Yes, it will be a
So, yes,
great pleasure. Yes,
good.
thanks.
So I
Shabbat
would like
shalom.
to Shabbat Shalom and a wonderful weekend and beautiful autumn and winter to come and beautiful spring and summer in the southern hemisphere and wonderful life to everyone.
Amen.
Okay.
And Rosh Chodesh Sameach.
Rosh Chodesh Sameach,
Yeah.
Kislev, Kislev,
Yes.
kiss and lev, kiss as a pocket, or kiss in English is a kiss, to kiss, and heart, kiss from the heart, from the divine heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.